Hi folks, I'm here interviewing Gregory Dal Piaz for Snooth. This is going to be the first in a series of interviews with bloggers, and I just want to get the ball rolling. This was obviously the easiest place to start, so I just want to introduce Gregory Dal Piaz, the editor-in-chief of Snooth Media. Is that correct, Gregory? Correct. Thanks for having me. Good to be here. Let's get started. I was just wondering, one of the prerequisites, I think, for being a good wine writer or even anybody in the wine industry is having a passion for wine. Can you share with our audience where your passion for wine began, where it came from? I agree entirely. Passion for wine is really important. Your passion comes through. You should be passionate about anything you do, whether it's wine or not wine. If you're writing about something else, you should be passionate about it. Write about what you're passionate about. My passion for wine began at a very young age. I used to spend my summers abroad in Italy, and very typical 1970s. Children were given water mixed with wine. As I grew older, there was more wine, less water, and I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. It was really an enjoyable drink. It was a refreshing drink, and it was a delicious complement to my meals. So that's really where I started getting interested in wine. By the age of 10, I was pretty much on my way as a full-fledged wine geek. Age of 10, that's really young. It's an unusual experience. You must have not known much about wine at that age. How did you learn about wine? How did you really delve deeper into the world of wine and wine knowledge? Well, the truth is, back then, in the 70s, early 80s, there was not a lot of resources that were readily available. There was no internet. There was a library. I went to used bookstores frequently with my father. He was looking for old books, and I, by the age of 15 or 16, had begun to collect books about wine. There were not that many books in print at that day. I mean, there were about 40 books that I bought between the age of 15 and 20 or so, give or take, and I would just read them voraciously over and over again. That was really the basis of my understanding. I love to tell people that as a percentage of what was available to be known, at least without visiting wineries or winemakers or wine writers, I knew much more, say, in 1980 than I do today. Because today the amount of stuff that's out there is expanding at an exponential rate, and there's no way to keep up with the base of wine knowledge that's available to people. It's a very interesting point. So what are people who are getting into wine writing today supposed to do? If wine is such a encyclopedic subject, how does a wine writer get started, and how does a wine writer get noticed? Well, you get started by writing about your experiences. I think one of the fallacies of wine writing is that you have to be some sort of expert to write about wine. The audience for basic wine knowledge is much greater than the audience for geeky wine knowledge, and I think a lot of people go through the same problems and have the same issues when they're getting into wine, and they love to live vicariously through people who are learning about wine at the same level that they're learning about wine at the same speed. I mean, there's one thing to learn about where a California Pinot comes from, and the vineyard overlooks the river, and the fog rolls in every morning. It's an entirely different subject to take that same California Pinot and dissect it, examining the pH levels and additions or corrections during fermentation, or those kind of stories that are boring to most people but really do appeal to the, I was going to say high-end drinker. It doesn't necessarily have to be high-end, but the real hard geek drinker. That's an interesting point that you're making, that there are different groups of people out there, different audiences, diverse audiences. Where would you put yourself? Well, I would say that I'm across the spectrum. I honestly enjoy reading neophyte level wine writing if it expresses an experience, a person's experience. I love the geeky stuff too. I mean, everything from one range to the other. One of the interesting things that I've found about my wine drinking is that as I drink more and I drink better, you create certain expectations for the better wines, and they're rarely met. I definitely would say that over the past several years, my best experiences have been with wines that are probably, I mean, I wouldn't call them inexpensive, between $20 and $35, give or take. And my worst experiences would be with the very expensive wines, because they're so expensive, they should be great, and if they're not great, you really feel like you got ripped off. So there's that to be said for wine. So are you generally against high-priced wines, or do you think that value can be found across the spectrum? Well, there's no doubt that value can be found across the spectrum. I personally have stopped buying wines over $100. I know that price sounds crazy to most people. There certainly is value to be had. Limited production wines frequently are quite expensive, and there's a big demand for many wines, and that has driven up the prices recently. Having said that, though, I would say that there are certain groups of wines where the pricing has absolutely no connection to reality. And while I won't name specific groups, I would say it's time for consumers to wake up and stop chasing fantasy 100-point experiences. Look, the bottom line is that the only wine that's good is the wine you like. So you should figure out what you like and ignore what everybody else likes and what everybody else is chasing after. And I cannot guarantee, but I am pretty confident that you'll be shocked at some of the $20, $30 wines that you like, even $10, $12, $15 wines. There are great wines out there at every price point, and we have to start becoming more comfortable with our own preferences and our own palates. So we're talking about wine writing, but we're shooting a video. So this is part of the internet's flexibility and how it's changing things. Would you say that your appearance on video is an important issue that other wine writers should be taking account of and consider before they jump into the wine video world? Well, you know, I think that anybody can jump into the wine video world. I think that you just need to. The big problem with the wine video world is it's a slow rate of adoption. So you just have to keep plugging away at what you're doing. I mean, consistency and delivering information, answering people's questions is what's going to ultimately breed success. So I would say don't worry too much about fancy studio sets. Get a good microphone, get a good place to record, and you should be doing fine. I just want to say that, you know, we're talking about video. People are going to see this live. I'm not sure that the camera does you justice. You're quite a handsome fellow. Thank you. I don't know what to say. Well, you know, just saying, you know, you're a good-looking kind of guy, and you should probably be doing more on video. I know that Are you flirting with me? What? No. What? Absolutely not. I know you're flirting with me. No, this is a professional interview. I prefer to keep things professional if you don't mind. Well, you know, you're not half bad looking yourself. You remind me of somebody. I don't really know who, but you know, I'm flattered. Well, in that case, yeah, you know, you're looking very good in that light blue shirt. I like that a lot. It's a good choice. You are flirting with me. You just said it was okay. Well, it's okay. I mean, you know, you might want to ask me out. I don't know. I think that's where you're going. Maybe we can do that off camera later. No, it's okay. Well, go right ahead. Well, maybe we can continue this conversation later after over a glass of wine. Absolutely not. You should be ashamed of yourself. What are you doing? This is a professional interview. Who arranged this? Who? What? No. You just said I should ask you. I didn't say that. What are you, crazy? We have the videotape. You have to go back to the videotape, because I never said anything like, bugger off. What? Oh, who? What? I'm speechless. This is so unprofessional. I'm unprofessional. You're the one who said I should ask you out. I said no such thing. Absolutely not. We should get back to the interview or I'm leaving. All right, fine. That's perfectly okay. Let's get back to the interview at hand. We'll continue talking about wine and wrap this thing up. That sure broke the continuity, didn't it? It's a little difficult to get back into the scheme of things, so let's wrap this up with some final thoughts. What are your favorite wines? Where do your passions in wine lie, since you were talking about writing about wines that you're passionate about? I might have been a little hasty there, so let me just answer this question, and we can talk about it later maybe. My passions in wine lie in Italian wines. I love Italian wines. Like I said, I grew up spending a lot of time in Italy. They just seem to appeal to my palate. Barolo in particular, Nebbiolo's the king of grapes in my book, but I love other Italian wines, primarily red. I would have to admit to being biased towards red wines. I love Barbera and Sangiovese, two fantastic grapes that I drink a ton of, and those are generally not expensive wines. They just happen to go with the foods that I eat, and wine is a very frequent partner on my dining table. So that really is one of the food and wine pairing is one of the issues that controls my preferences. And then my family's from Trentino, so Tiraldigo is definitely I'm biased in that respect. It definitely is a wine that I would like to drink more of, and Schiave as well, Lagrein from the Alto Adige, all beautiful wines. The Etna wines from Sicily with their minerality. I got to say I'm loving those as well. Well, that was great. I want to thank you again for joining us, and maybe we can go for that glass of wine after all. No, I already said no. What's your problem? Do you not? Is English a second language for you? You just said you were hasty, and I thought maybe there was, there's chemistry here between us. Yeah, there's chemistry here between us. It's like vinegar and baking soda, and you're about to make me blow my top, so get the hell out of here. Okay, well, I think we're going to have to wrap this up. That was a very interesting interview with Gregory Dal Piaz, Editor-in-Chief of Snooth Media. I'd love to interview all the wine writers out there, so if you're interested in joining me for a 10-minute interview, please let me know, and I'm going to be contacting lots of you out there. Hopefully it'll go a little bit better than this, but you got to start somewhere, right? Greg, I want to thank you again for joining us and sharing your thoughts. You are a very strange man, and you should leave the building immediately. I want to thank everybody for watching me out there, and I look forward to writing about wine with you guys and collaborating on future events. So thanks for listening to me, and this guy over here is a nut job, so if he contacts you, I definitely would just delete that email. Thank you.